Now, I know that everybody might not like this, and I might have to record this twice, in order to have the confidence to say it. But I've noticed that my YouTube videos, there have been some responses. Uh, yeah, just once I was concerned about Amberlin, people didn't seem to really like the video because no one's concerned about Amberlin. But there's someone else speaking, Yvette Carnell, and there's been a lot of people that really like Yvette Carnell, and Yvette doesn't like Boyce, and I don't even know that Yvette likes me, and if she sees me doing this, maybe she'll block me. I don't know, but the thing of it is, I don't agree with Yvette Carnell. I don't agree with many of the things she says. I agree with many of the things she says, but I don't agree with many of the things she says. And I've already done one video about that, about how I don't agree with Yvette. Didn't really get the likes. I think I got some dislikes. The thing of it is, it's important. Um, Yvette Cornell is telling me, as a black citizen, as a black person, things I already know. Now, she graduated from a very prestigious, black college. She seems to me like she's got it together, quite smart, has nothing wrong with her emotionally, very, very well put together. But she's telling me things I already know. So she's telling me things that I learned in my history books, and I don't know why it is that the people that call in, they didn't, and some of them are suicidal, and that's reasonable because I mean, it's always hard to be a minority, but I mean, it's hard to be other kinds of minorities too. It's hard. I mean, as a woman, I know it's hard to be a woman, and yet that's another thing. I don't like that Yvette is saying that being a woman. Well, I don't even know what she thinks of being a woman. I that's I mean, I know that it doesn't seem like it takes priority the way that being black in this country does. That being woman or being gay is lesser, and it's a less of a problem for you. Now, I don't know. It's all debatable. It's all, it depends on the woman. It depends on what things she's gone through as being a woman. It depends on the gay. It depends on what they've gone through as being a gay. I mean, some black people, what Antonio and Yvette don't understand. Some black people have, they've reached the bourgeois, the bourgeois. They've accumulated money. And then they go on to these channels and they say, what are these people talking about? And they rant and they rail. And I just don't think that's a good role, good image to put up for us as a people. I think we should seem a little more composed. Now, that's not to say that people can't get angry, but I just think we should not be so put down. It's like they're putting down people that don't agree with them. Um, very recently said a lot about how she isn't discriminating against immigrants. I'm not so sure that's true, or I'm not sure if that's true, or if that's not true. I can't quite figure it out. And in fact, I'm not so sure YouTube would really like me placing all these viewpoints on this channel of mine anyway, because, think about it. I mean, it's a social issue that's in conflict here and conflict there. I mean, there's all different opinions, controversial, race relations, uh, uh, but there's been a lot of things going on. And, there's been a shooting of, um, in a yoga studio of woman, killing woman, misogyny. Well, of course, Yvette's not talking about these things because she talks about civil rights. But you can't say that they aren't important, that other problems aren't important, because other problems are. Okay? It just seems, and even when something seems something, there is some validity that it might be what it is. And when I'm listening to them, I know they counter some of their criticisms with that they're not doing it. But Antonio and Yvette both believe that there's a margin that most black people, and I mean a grand amount of black people, only have $1,700 and in assets. I just can tell you that's not true from experience. And also, I hear from the callers, I hear a little bit of my own sentiment. Of course, no one wants to take up the rallying cry I have. Well, not no one, there are some, but I think the vast majority of people are getting thrown into this movement with Yvette Carnell that we're going to solve the country's problems, gain money for being slaves, and then all the white people will go away and stop hating us and killing us for being black. And that's just not true. Okay, and I know that, saying this where someone else in the world can hear it, pretty risky perhaps, but, and I would say is, but I just, that's where I just differ with Yvette. She's talking a very political speak. See, she studied politics. When I was in college, I studied sociology. I studied psychology. Okay, and I know that people don't stop hating you because they've given you money. Okay, people that are watching Yvette are so consumed with what she has to say, and it's becoming almost like a church. And that's nice. That heals you. It heals me when I listen to her. Because I feel more confidence and I feel spiritually uplifted. But it's not going to solve the dilemmas of society. And if it does, it does. But my opinion is that it's not. Because once you pay people reparations, even though it's a smart idea to do, because, they did it for the Jews, they did it for the Native Americans, it just seems that then you have to go on to other things slowly, but realizing that prejudice is always illogical. Real deep bigotry is, some prejudice is a survival method, but real deep bigotry, it's illogical. The bigotries in the world are illogical. If you see Schindler's List, watch for the little girl in the red dress. She's just walking without anybody. She lost all her family. That's why Yvette's so angry. That's what happened to the slaves a long time ago. And I understand the pain. I understand the pain of the callers calling in to Yvette's channel. And I say, Yvette, continue with your channel. And Antonio, continue. Continue with this. Okay? And I don't know if anyone will watch this video of mine or not. But, continue with the channel. But, it's like Yvette just seems to think that all the problems will go away once we get reparations, and they won't. And Antonio just thinks there's absolutely no wealthy black people, and that you can't do anything successful, like even get a PhD or something if you're black, and that's, or ADOS, I'll call it too, American descendant of a slave, black, too, and that's not so. It takes much more work than a lot of white people, probably, I'm sure than any white person, but it does work. And there's our white people, sometimes it works, and there are white people that have problems. So, it's true. It's true. Whiteness is a gift. And not a gift, but you know what I'm talking about, I hope. Whiteness helps. To be white, it helps. But you don't give up because you're black. And I don't know what Yvette is giving that's making people think that their lives are better. I guess just listen, but I just be careful sometimes when it gets excited, because my feeling is that sometimes these views, once they get extreme, sometimes it's hard to know that there's other views too, there's opposing views, and people don't really listen for them. And maybe when Donald Trump is no longer in office and the white supremacists are a little quieter, more voices like mine will be heard. And Yvette's voice will be heard. But there'll be other viewpoints too. So we listen.